The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Lieutenant Emma Blake sat at her station watching the screens like she did every day. She had been doing this job for 3 years now. Most days were boring. Space was big and empty, and nothing much happened out here, but today was different. Emma heard something strange in her headphones. It was weak and broken, like someone trying to talk through a bad phone connection. She sat up straight and turned up the volume. Her heart started beating faster. "Captain Hayes, you need to come here right now," she said. Captain Greg Hayes was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been in space for a long time. He walked over to Emma's station and put on a headset. His face changed when he heard the sound. The signal was not in any language they knew, but their computer tried to translate it anyway. Through all the noise and static, they could hear words: help, dying, trapped, please. The words made Hayes feel cold inside. "Where is this coming from?" Hayes asked. Emma's fingers moved across her keyboard. Numbers and maps appeared on her screen. "It's coming from a star system about 2 weeks away from here." "Captain, this signal is old. I think it was sent about 6 weeks ago." Hayes looked at the map on the big screen. The system was marked with red warning signs. The first human ships that went there had left those warnings. They said the planet was dangerous. Very dangerous. Too much radiation. Volcanoes everywhere. Air that could kill you in seconds. Why would anyone be there? Hayes said quietly. Emma kept working on her computer. "Captain, I found something else. The signal is using really old technology. Like hundreds of years old? This isn't human. Someone else sent this." Hayes felt his stomach tighten. Humans had met a few other species in space. Most of them were friendly enough. They traded things and shared information. But this was different. This was someone in trouble, someone who might be dying. "Marcus, how much fuel do we have?" Hayes turned to his navigation officer. Lieutenant Marcus Cole was young, maybe 25 or 26. He had joined the crew 2 years ago and was good at his job. He checked his numbers and looked up. "We can get there and back to the nearest station, sir. It will be close, but we can do it." Hayes looked around the bridge. The Horizon was not a big ship. Only 12 people worked on it. They were scientists and explorers, not soldiers. They went to new places and made maps and studied stars. They were not supposed to rescue people from deadly planets, but Hayes had not joined the space program to ignore people who needed help. "Set a course," he said. "We're going to see what's happening." The ship turned and started moving toward the signal. The engines burned bright as they picked up speed. Emma kept listening to the signal, trying to learn more about it. After an hour of work, she found something important. "Captain, I analyzed the signal more. Whoever sent this breathes oxygen like we do. They're made of carbon like we are. They're not exactly like humans, but they're close enough." Hayes nodded. "How long until we get there?" 2 days if we keep going at full speed," Cole said. Hayes pressed a button on his chair. His voice went to every room in the ship. "Everyone, this is the captain. We found a distress signal from someone we don't know. We're going to help them. Get ready for anything. This is why we're out here. Let's show them what humans can do." All over the ship, people started preparing. In the medical bay, Dr. Lisa Grant got her supplies ready. She was a good doctor, but she had never treated an alien before. She hoped she could figure it out if she needed to. In the engine room, Paul Sanders checked every system on the ship. He was an old engineer who had been fixing ships for 30 years. If something broke, he could fix it. He made sure their environmental suits were working. Those suits kept people alive in bad places. Emma kept working on the signal. She found more information hidden in it. The more she learned, the sadder the story became. The beings who sent this had been stuck for weeks. Their ship was broken. They were running out of food and water. They sent their message on every frequency they could, hoping someone would hear. No one had come. Until now. Hayes stood on the bridge and looked at the stars through the window. He thought about the risks. His crew could get hurt or killed. The planet might be too dangerous. They might not be able to help at all. But he also thought about the people waiting in the dark. They had been hoping for so long. They probably thought they were going to die alone on that terrible planet. Hayes had been in space for 30 years. He had seen a lot of things, good and bad, but he had learned one important thing about humans. They help people. Even when it was hard, even when it was dangerous. That was just what they did. Thought the horizon kept flying through space. 2 days felt like a long time. The crew stayed busy and tried not to worry. They ran drills and checked equipment. They studied everything they could find about the planet. They were going to. It did not look good. The planet was classified as Category 9. That was the worst rating. It meant the planet was extremely dangerous. Most of the information came from robot probes that had visited the system years ago. The probe said the planet had too much radiation, too much heat, too much of everything bad. How is anyone alive there? Cole asked one day. Nobody had a good answer. On the second day, they got close enough to see the system. Hayes called everyone to the bridge. They all needed to see this. The star in the middle was angry and violent. It shot out bursts of radiation all the time. The planets near it were dead rocks, burned by heat. The third planet was where the signal came from. Even from far away, they could tell it was a nightmare. That's where we're going, Hayes said quietly. Emma looked at the planet on the screen. She could see massive storms. She could see volcanoes erupting. She could see an atmosphere that looked thick and poisonous. Are we really doing this? She asked. Hayes looked at his crew. They were scared. He was scared too. But they were also determined. They had come all this way. They were not going to turn back now. Yes, he said. We're really doing this. Get the rescue team ready. We go in 4 hours. The horizon moved closer to the angry planet, carrying 12 humans towards something that would change everything. The horizon stopped moving when it reached the edge of the star system. Immediately, every alarm started making noise. Red lights flashed everywhere on the bridge. The sounds were so loud that Cole had to shout. Radiation is extremely high, Captain. The sun is shooting out flares constantly. There are particle storms everywhere. This system is trying to kill us, and we're not even close to the planet yet. Hayes held onto his chair as the ship shook. Can we make it to the planet safely? Cole worked on his computer, running numbers and checking routes. Maybe, if we time it right between the solar flares, we might get through. But our shields are going to take heavy damage the whole way. Emma was still tracking the signal. I have the exact location locked in. It's coming from the third planet, right in the middle of what should be the safe zone for life. Except nothing about this place is safe. The main screen showed them the planet. It looked like something from a nightmare. The entire surface was covered with active volcanoes. The oceans were boiling. Giant storms bigger than Earth's moon were spinning across the surface. Lightning was jumping between clouds constantly, so bright they could see it from space. What kind of place is this? Cole whispered. Dr. Grant's voice came through the speakers from the medical bay. Captain, I'm looking at the atmosphere readings. The oxygen level is 30%. That's much higher than Earth. The gravity is 1.4 times what we're used to. The temperature goes from boiling hot to freezing cold. This planet is designed to kill anything that lands on it. Hayes felt a chill go through his body. Everyone knew Earth was a rough planet. Higher gravity than most aliens liked. Dangerous weather, lots of predators. But this place made Earth look like a peaceful garden. Where exactly are they? Hayes asked. Emma brought up a detailed map. There's a crashed ship on the biggest continent. It's in a valley between 2 active volcanoes. I'm reading life signs. They're weak, but they're there. Captain, whatever these beings are, they've been surviving down there for 6 weeks. Paul Sanders came onto the bridge. His hands were dirty from working in the engine room. He looked at the planet on the screen and shook his head. We're actually going down there? We didn't come all this way to turn around now, Hayes said. What do we need for the rescue? Sanders thought for a moment. We need the heavy environmental suits. The ones we use for the really bad places? We need the shuttle with extra heat shielding. Once we're on the surface, we'll need to work fast. I'd say we have maybe 4 hours before that environment starts destroying our equipment. Pick your team, Hayes ordered. Emma, you're going. We need you to talk to these beings. Cole, you're in charge of the ship while we're gone. If something happens to us down there, you take the Horizon and get everyone else to safety. That's a direct order. Cole wanted to argue, but he could see Hayes was serious. Yes, sir. 20 minutes later, the rescue team met in the shuttle bay. Hayes had picked carefully. Sanders would handle technical problems. Emma would communicate with the aliens. Ryan Brooks, their security officer, would come along for protection. Dr. Grant insisted on joining them because the aliens might need medical help immediately. Hayes agreed but did not like it. That made 5 people. They put on the environmental suits. These suits were heavy and armored. They could handle temperatures from 200 degrees below zero to 500 degrees above. The suits had their own air supply, radiation protection, and enough emergency supplies to last 3 days. The shuttle separated from the Horizon and started going down toward the planet. As soon as they entered the atmosphere, everything started shaking violently. Sanders fought with the controls, trying to keep them steady as they fell through the violent air. I'm reading wind shears that don't make any sense. Pressure systems that shouldn't exist. Enough lightning to power an entire city, Sanders said through his teeth. This planet really hates visitors. They broke through the clouds and saw the surface. Rivers of lava flowed between mountains that were tearing themselves apart. Earthquakes were happening constantly. The valley where the alien ship had crashed was the calmest area they could see, but calm was relative. The temperature was 130 degrees. The air was full of chemicals that would kill an unprotected human in seconds. There it is, Emma pointed. I see their ship. The alien ship was smaller than the Horizon, maybe 200 feet long. It looked completely different from human ships. The design was strange and foreign. It had crashed hard. The hull was torn open in many places. Parts of it had melted from the heat. But one section was still in one piece, and that's where the life signs were coming from. Sanders landed the shuttle as close as he could. The landing gear made a hissing sound as they touched the hot ground. The team got out and started walking toward the wreck. Even through their suits, they could feel the heat. Brooks went first, his weapon ready. Not because he thought the aliens would attack, but because they had no idea what else might be alive in this horrible place. Through the heat waves, Hayes could see movement near the alien ship. Then he saw them. The aliens were much smaller than humans. They stood about 4.5 feet tall. Their bodies looked thin and delicate. Their skin was a pale blue-gray color. They had very large eyes that seemed too big for their faces. When the rescue team got closer, 3 aliens came out of the wreck. They were moving slowly, like every step was hard. Emma turned on the universal translator. She hoped it would let them understand each other. We received your distress call. We came here to help you. The alien in front stared at them. Its huge eyes got even bigger. When it spoke, the translator turned its words into English. You actually came to this terrible world. The alien's voice was full of shock and disbelief. Dr. Grant stepped forward with her medical scanner. How many of you are alive? Are any of you badly hurt? 5 of us are left, the alien said slowly. Its movements looked painful. 3 more are inside the ship. Our ship broke during a survey mission. We crashed here. This planet is death. We thought we would all die here. Hayes noticed something strange. The aliens were not wearing any protective suits. Their ship's life support had clearly failed. Yet they had survived for weeks in this toxic air, in these extreme temperatures. How are you still alive? He asked. The alien made a movement that might have been a shrug. We endure. It is all we can do. But we are dying slowly. Our supplies are gone. The heat is killing us. The air burns our lungs. We cannot last much longer. Sanders was already scanning the wreck with his equipment. Captain, their ship is completely dead, no power at all. We need to get them out of here right now. Emma helped the alien walk toward the shuttle. Brooks and Sanders went inside the wreck to get the others. Dr. Grant stayed with Hayes. Her medical scanner was showing bad news. Captain, these beings are in terrible condition, she said quietly. Severe dehydration. Starvation. Their lungs are damaged from breathing this atmosphere. I'm amazed they've survived at all. Inside the wreck, they found two more aliens. One was unconscious, the other was barely awake. The inside of the ship was destroyed. It was burned and torn apart. Hayes could see where the aliens had tried to seal the holes in the hull. They had tried to keep the air inside safe to breathe. They had failed, but they had tried hard. Brooks picked up the unconscious alien carefully. Sanders helped the other one walk. As they moved toward the shuttle, the alien looked around at the nightmare landscape. "Your species," it said weakly. "You can breathe this air?" "No," Sanders replied. "We're wearing suits." "This planet would kill us too, just slower than it's killing you." The alien made a sound of confusion. "But you came here anyway. You risked death to answer our call." "That's what we do," Sanders said simply. They loaded all 5 aliens into the shuttle. Dr. Grant immediately started helping them. She started 4 lines to give them fluids. She gave them oxygen to help them breathe. The aliens accepted her help quietly. Hayes could see confusion in their large eyes. They did not understand why these strangers would risk so much. Sanders started the shuttle engines. As he prepared to take off, the lead alien touched Hayes' arm with its delicate hand. "I am Navigator Kellis of the survey ship Wandering Light. We are from the Varan Collective. We have been traveling in space for 3,000 years. In all that time, we have met many species. Never has anyone come to a world like this to rescue strangers." Hayes looked into the alien's eyes. "We're humans. We're from a planet called Earth, and we don't leave people behind." The shuttle lifted off, fighting back up through the violent atmosphere. Behind them, the planet continued its endless violence. It did not care about the small drama that had just happened on its surface. On the horizon, Cole had everything ready in the medical bay. As soon as the shuttle docked, the Varan were rushed to treatment. Dr. Grant worked for hours, trying to adapt her equipment to work on alien bodies. It was difficult and scary. For a while, she was not sure if they would survive. But slowly the Varan got better. Their vital signs improved. They started to stabilize. By the end of the day, it looked like they would all live. Kellis was strong enough to sit up and talk by evening. Hayes visited the medical bay and found the navigator awake and alert. "Your doctor says we will survive," Kellis said, "because of you and your crew." The Horizon set course for the nearest trade station. The journey would take 5 days. During that time, the Varan continued to get better under Dr. Grant's care. They also spent many hours talking with the human crew. They were trying to understand the beings who had saved their lives. Kellis was especially interested in learning about Earth. Emma showed the navigator pictures and videos of humanity's homeworld. The Varan's reaction was immediate and strong. Kellis actually stepped back from the screen. "This is classified as a death world," Kellis said, looking at images of hurricanes, earthquakes, and dangerous animals. "Your oceans are filled with creatures that hunt and kill. Your land has areas of extreme cold and extreme heat. You have storms that can destroy entire cities in hours." "We just call that normal weather," Emma replied with a small smile. Kellis stared at her. "This explains so much about your species. You evolved on a world that tried to kill you every single day. You learned to adapt to impossible conditions. The planet where we crashed would be rated as level 9 danger in our classification system. But to you, it was just difficult." "It was still very dangerous," Hayes corrected. "We took many precautions. We could have died there. But yes, humans are built to handle rough conditions." Over the next few days, Kellis shared a lot of information about the Varan and the other species in the galaxy. The rescue team learned that most space-traveling species came from what humans would think of as very gentle worlds. Low gravity, stable weather, few natural predators. They had developed technology and reached space without facing constant danger from their environment. "When we look at risk, we calculate based on what our people can handle," Kellis explained one day in the medical bay. "A world that could damage our equipment or harm our crew members is considered too dangerous. It is the logical thing to do." "But it meant leaving your own people to die?" Brooks said. The security officer had been visiting the Varan regularly. He brought them food and made sure they were comfortable. "Yes, Kellis' voice became very quiet. It meant exactly that. The Horizon arrived at Station Meridian 5 days later. The station was huge, a massive complex where many different species lived and worked together. Hayes had Emma send a message ahead of time. They arranged for Varan representatives to meet their missing crew members. Hayes also filed a standard report about the rescue operation. He did not expect what happened next. The story spread through the station incredibly fast. 5 Varan abandoned by their own people, rescued by an unknown species from a level 9 death world. Within a few hours, everyone on the station was talking about it. Other species wanted to meet the humans. They wanted to see these Deathworlders who had done something impossible. Captain Hayes received an invitation to meet with the station's administrator. The administrator was from a species called the Thalir. Their name was very difficult for Hayes to say correctly. The administrator seemed very excited to meet him. Captain Hayes, your actions have created quite a reaction here. We have never had Deathworlders at this station before. We did not even know your species existed until now. We've been exploring this region of space for a few years, Hayes said carefully. We usually keep to ourselves and don't bother anyone. But not when someone needs help, it seems. The administrator showed Hayes a video screen. It showed the Varan reunion. The 5 survivors had been met by other Varan from their collective. It was a happy moment, but also awkward. The Varan who had refused to rescue them looked ashamed of what they had done. Tell me, Captain, is it true that your homeworld has predators that hunt in packs? That you have weather systems that can destroy cities? That your gravity is much higher than standard? Hayes nodded yes to each question. The administrator leaned back in their chair. Fascinating. And yet you have built a peaceful civilization. You explore peacefully. You rescue strangers without asking for anything in return. Most species from Deathworlds that we know about are aggressive and territorial. You are completely different. We can be aggressive when we need to protect ourselves, Hayes said. But we try to be better than our worst instincts. We try to do the right thing. Over the next several days, more and more species reached out to make contact with humanity. They were curious about Earth and its people. They were also cautious and a bit scared. The rescue of the Varan had shown them something important. Humans could operate in conditions that would kill most other species. But instead of using that ability to hurt others, they chose to help. Word continued to spread. Ships arriving at the station brought news to other stations and planets. Within 2 weeks, half the galaxy seemed to know about the humans and what they had done. Callis came to say goodbye before the Varan ship arrived to take the survivors home. The navigator was completely recovered now, walking with ease and strength restored. Captain Hayes, I have been given authority by my collective to offer formal thanks on behalf of all. Varan, we are also opening diplomatic channels with your Earth government. They wish to learn more about humanity and establish friendly relations. We would like that very much, Hayes said. Callis hesitated as if unsure about saying something. There is one more thing I must tell you. The collective has begun a complete review of our rescue protocols. What happened to my crew? It has caused many Varan to question our values and our decisions. If we are too afraid to save our own people, what does that say about who we are as a species? It says you're learning and growing, Hayes replied. All species have room to improve. We humans certainly do. The navigator nodded slowly. Perhaps you are right. But I think it also says something very important about humanity. About what humans are willing to risk for complete strangers. That kind of courage, Captain Hayes, is extremely rare in the galaxy. You should treasure it and protect it. After the Varan left, the Horizon prepared to continue its original exploration mission. But Hayes knew that everything had changed now. Humanity had been noticed. The galaxy now knew that Earth was a death world, and that its people were the kind who would fly into hell itself to answer a distress call. Hayes wondered what that would mean for humanity's future among the stars. Would other species be afraid of them? Would they be respected? Would they be asked to help more often? He got his answer sooner than expected. 3 days after leaving Station Meridian, Emma received another message. It was from a species called the Korathi. They were miners who had gotten trapped on a moon with dangerous conditions. Their own rescue ships could not reach them safely. They had heard about the humans. They were asking if the Horizon could help. Hayes called a meeting with his senior crew members. They gathered in the small conference room near the bridge. "We've been asked to perform another rescue," Hayes said. "The conditions are dangerous, but not as bad as the planet where we found the Varan. What do you all think?" Sanders spoke first. "Our equipment held up well on the last mission. We know what we're doing now. I think we can handle it?" Dr. Grant nodded. "I've been studying alien physiology. I'm better prepared to treat non-human patients now. I say we should help them." Emma agreed. "This is clearly becoming our purpose out here. We're good at this kind of work. Better than most species, apparently." Brooks was the last to speak. "I joined the Exploration Service to help people and discover new things. This does both." "I'm in." Cole, who had been quiet, finally said what everyone was thinking. "Are we becoming the galaxy's rescue service? Is that what's happening here?" Hayes looked around the table at his crew. "Maybe we are." "Is that a bad thing?" Nobody said it was. The Horizon changed course and headed toward the Korathi miners. The rescue went smoothly. The moon's conditions were harsh, but the crew had learned from their experience with the Varan. They got all the miners out safely within 6 hours. The Korathi were incredibly grateful. They offered to pay the Horizon's crew, but Hayes refused. "We're just helping people who need it. We don't want payment for that." This made the story spread even further. Humans who risked their lives for strangers and refused payment. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. More requests for help started coming in. Hayes had to be selective. His ship was small and his crew was limited. They could not help everyone. But they helped when they could. After 3 months of rescue operations, Hayes received a message from Earth. It was from the United Earth Council. They wanted him to come home and give a full report on everything that had happened. The Horizon made the long journey back to Earth. When they arrived, Hayes was surprised to see how much attention they were getting. News agencies wanted interviews. Government officials wanted meetings. Everyone wanted to know about the Deathworlders who had become heroes to half the galaxy. Hayes felt uncomfortable with all the attention. He had just done what seemed right. He had helped people who needed help. That was all, but as he prepared for his meeting with the council, he realized something important. What had seemed simple and obvious to him and his crew was apparently rare and special to the rest of the galaxy. Humans had a gift, a willingness to help others even at great personal risk. Maybe that was humanity's real purpose among the stars. Not to conquer or dominate, but to help and protect. To be the ones who answered when others called for help. It was a good purpose, Hayes thought. One worth embracing. The meeting. Captain Greg Hayes stood in front of the United Earth Council chamber. The room was much bigger than he expected. Representatives from every major nation sat in a large semicircle. Their faces looked serious as they waited for him to begin. Large screens on the walls showed alien faces too. Representatives from a dozen different species were watching this meeting. Hayes felt nervous. He was used to commanding a ship, not giving speeches to important politicians. But he had a job to do. He took a deep breath and began. The rescue of the Varan crew was supposed to be a simple operation, Hayes said. His voice echoed in the big room. However, what happened afterward has been anything but simple. In the past 6 months, we have been contacted by 17 different species. All of them want to establish formal relations with Earth and humanity. Council President Janet Morrison was a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She leaned forward in her seat. "What is the nature of this interest, Captain? Are they friendly? Hostile? What do they want from us?" "It's a mixture of things," Hayes replied honestly. "Curiosity, respect, and some fear. The galactic community has learned that Earth is what they classify as a level 8 death world. Most space-traveling species come from level 2 or 3 worlds, places with stable weather and very few dangers. They find it hard to believe that intelligent life could evolve under the conditions we consider completely normal." An image appeared on the main screen. It showed Earth next to an average alien planet. The differences were shocking. Earth's higher gravity, violent weather, many predators, and extreme changes in environment made it look like a nightmare world. The alien planet looked calm and peaceful by comparison. What they find even more surprising, Hayes continued, is that despite coming from such a harsh world, humans are not aggressive warmongers. We explore space peacefully. We trade fairly. We help others in need. The rescue of the Varan has become famous in many parts of the galaxy. 5 humans from a death world risking their lives to save 5 aliens from a different species, on a planet that would kill most galactic citizens within hours. They've never seen anything like it. Dr. Grant had been invited to speak at the meeting, too. She stood up when Hayes gestured to her. We've also learned something important about human biology and why we're different. Our bones are much denser than most alien species. Our muscles are stronger. Our immune systems are more aggressive. We literally evolved to survive on a world that was trying to kill us constantly. This shows in every part of our bodies. Emma was there as well. She added her observations. The cultural impact has been enormous. The word Deathworlder has entered common usage in the galactic community. It specifically refers to humans. Other species use it to describe our willingness to take risks, to push boundaries, to help others even when it's very dangerous. It has become a term of deep respect. Council President Morrison looked at the alien faces on the screens, then back at Hayes. What are the practical implications of all this attention? What do these species want from us? Hayes pulled up another display. It showed a map of explored space with various markers on it. Several species have formally requested that humanity take responsibility for rescue and recovery operations in hazardous regions. There are places in the galaxy that most species cannot safely reach. But we can reach them. These species are offering a substantial payment for rescue services. One council member, an older man from the European Federation, spoke up with skepticism in his voice. Are you seriously suggesting that we become the Galaxy's Rescue Squad? That seems like a very limited role for humanity. I'm suggesting we embrace what we're naturally good at, Hayes replied firmly. We're not the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy, not even close. We're not the oldest civilization or the wisest, but we are uniquely suited to operating in dangerous environments. And apparently we're the only species willing to risk our own lives to save complete strangers. That counts for something. Paul Sanders had also been invited to the meeting. The engineer stood and added his perspective. I've been working closely with alien engineers over the past months, comparing our technologies. Our ships are overbuilt by their standards. We design everything to withstand conditions they would never even consider. Our environmental suits can handle extremes that would destroy theirs instantly. We've been building equipment tough enough to survive Earth-level challenges. It turns out that makes us incredibly capable everywhere else in the galaxy. The council members talked among themselves for a while. Hayes could see they were divided. Some seemed excited about the opportunity. Others looked worried about the risks. A few seemed concerned about Earth's image in the galaxy. Finally, President Morrison called for order. Captain Hayes, let me ask you directly, do you believe humanity should accept this role? Should we become the species that other civilizations call when they face dangerous situations? Hayes thought carefully before answering. He thought about Callus and the Varan crew waiting to die on that terrible planet. He thought about the Korathi miners trapped on their moon. He thought about all the other beings in the galaxy who might need help someday. Yes, I do, he said clearly. Not because we want glory or payment, although both of those things are nice, but because we can help, and because it's the right thing to do. That's always been humanity's strength. We help others even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The council debated for many hours. Hayes and his crew waited outside the chamber. They could hear raised voices through the thick doors. Some council members were arguing strongly against the proposal. They said it was too dangerous, that humanity should focus on building its own strength before helping others. But other voices argued back. They said this was an opportunity to establish humanity as a force for good in the galaxy, that helping others would build trust and friendships that would benefit Earth for generations. Finally, after nearly 8 hours, the council reached a decision. President Morrison called Hayes and his crew back into the chamber. "The United Earth Council has voted," she announced. "We have decided to embrace humanity's role as Deathworlders. We will not hide what we are or pretend to be something we're not. We will use our unique capabilities to help other species in need." She paused and looked directly at Hayes. "Captain, the Council is authorizing the construction of a new class of ships specifically designed for extreme rescue operations. You will command the first one. You'll have authority to recruit and train crews for additional ships as they're completed. This will become an official branch of Earth's space program." Hayes felt his heart beating faster. This was bigger than he had imagined. They were creating an entire organization around the idea of helping others. "We're also establishing formal diplomatic relations with all the species who have reached out to us," Morrison continued. "Earth will join the galactic community as a full member, but we'll do it on our own terms as who we really are." The alien representatives on the screens were nodding their approval. One of them, a Varan that Hayes recognized as a senior official, spoke up. "The Varan Collective welcomes this decision. We believe humanity will be a valuable addition to the galactic community. Your courage and compassion are qualities that have been too rare among the stars." Over the next few weeks, things moved very quickly. Engineers started designing the new rescue ships. They would be called Valor-class vessels, after the name Hayes had suggested. The ships would be bigger than the Horizon, with better equipment and larger crews. They would be built specifically to handle the worst conditions the galaxy could offer. Hayes was promoted to commander and given authority over the new rescue program. He spent his days meeting with designers, interviewing potential crew members, and establishing training protocols. It was exhausting work, but he felt energized by it. Emma was promoted to his second-in-command. Sanders became the chief engineer for the entire program. Dr. Grant took charge of developing medical protocols for treating multiple alien species. Brooks began training security teams to handle various scenarios they might face. The first, Valor-class ship, took 8 months to build. When it was finally ready, Hayes stood in the shipyard and looked up at it with pride. It was beautiful and powerful, a ship built for the specific purpose of saving lives in the most dangerous places imaginable. They named it the Valor, and Hayes would command it personally. The crew of the new ship numbered 30 people, all volunteers who understood the risks. They came from different countries and backgrounds, but they shared one important thing. They all wanted to help others, no matter how dangerous it might be. As the Valor prepared for its first mission, Hayes received a personal message from Callus. The Varan navigator had heard about the new ship and the program Earth had created. "Captain Hayes, or should I say Commander Hayes now," the message began. "I have heard about what your people are doing. You are creating something new in the galaxy, a force dedicated entirely to helping others, to saving lives, to being there when people call for aid. This is remarkable. This is beautiful. The Varan Collective is honored to know humanity. We are honored to call you friends." Hayes saved the message. He would listen to it again later when he needed reminding of why this work mattered. The Valor moved through space at incredible speed. Commander Greg Hayes stood on the bridge watching the stars stretch into lines as they traveled faster than light. His new ship was everything he had hoped for and more. Powerful engines, strong shields, equipment designed to handle the worst conditions imaginable. Emma sat at the communication station, monitoring the distress signal they were racing toward. The Zentari science vessel is called the Research Star. They were studying gravitational effects near a black hole when something went wrong. Their engines failed and they're being pulled closer to the event horizon. "How much time do they have?" Hayes asked. Emma checked her readings. "Hard to say exactly. The gravitational forces are increasing. They estimate maybe 12 hours before they cross the point of no return. After that, nothing can save them." Sanders was at the engineering station, running calculations. "Captain, sorry, Commander, Still getting used to your new rank. Anyway, the gravitational pull near that black hole is extreme. Most rescue ships would get torn apart trying to get close. But the Valor was built for this. We can do it. Hayes nodded. How long until we reach them? 10 hours at current speed, Emma replied. That gave them a 2-hour window. Not much room for error, but it would have to be enough. Dr. Lisa Grant's voice came over the intercom from the medical bay. Commander, I've been reading about Zentari biology. They're silicon-based life forms, very different from us. If any of them are injured, treating them is going to be challenging. Do your best, Doctor, Hayes said. That's all anyone can ask. The hours passed slowly. The crew stayed at their stations, checking and rechecking their equipment. Everyone knew this mission was important. It was the Valor's first rescue operation. The whole galaxy was watching to see if Earth's new rescue program would succeed or fail. Hayes walked through the ship, talking to crew members, making sure everyone was ready. In the shuttle bay, he found Brooks supervising the preparation of 2 rescue shuttles. The security officer looked up and saluted. Everything ready? Hayes asked. Yes, sir. Both shuttles are fueled and equipped. Environmental suits are checked and ready. If we need to evacuate the Zentari quickly, we can handle it. Hayes clapped him on the shoulder. Good work. In the medical bay, Dr. Grant was setting up equipment she had never used before. Special beds that could handle silicon-based life forms. Scanners that could read alien vital signs. She looked nervous but determined. I've never treated anyone made of silicon before, she admitted to Hayes. I've studied the theory, but this will be my first real experience. You saved the Varan when you'd never treated them before either, Hayes reminded her. You'll figure it out. Finally, after 10 long hours, they arrived at the location. The main view screen showed something that made even experienced spacers feel uneasy. The black hole was massive, a dark point in space surrounded by a glowing disk of matter being pulled into it. Near the disk, barely visible, was the Zentari ship. There they are, Emma said. I'm reading life signs. All crew members appear to be alive, but their ship is definitely in trouble. The research star was tumbling slowly, pulled by invisible forces toward its doom. Parts of the hull were already starting to deform from the extreme gravity. Sanders studied his instruments. The gravitational gradient is severe. The closer we get, the more stress our ship will experience. We'll need to be quick. Hayes made his decision. Take us in nice and steady. Emma, open a channel to the Zentari. A face appeared on the screen. The Zentari looked like nothing Hayes had seen before. Their bodies seemed to be made of crystalline structures that glowed with internal light. The beings' features were hard to read, but Hayes could sense fear. This is Commander Greg Hayes of the Earth vessel Valor. We received your distress call. We're here to help you. The Zentari's voice came through the translator with a strange musical quality. Commander Hayes, I am Science Leader Prax. We thank you for coming, but you should know the danger. 6 other ships tried to reach us. All of them had to turn back. Their gravitational forces are too strong. You cannot save us without destroying your own ship. Let us worry about that, Hayes said. How many people do you have on board? 8 crew members. We are all alive, but our ship is dying. Life support will fail within 2 hours. Hayes turned to his crew. Sanders, can we get close enough to dock with them? The engineer shook his head. Docking would take too long and the stress on both ships would be too much. We need to use the shuttles to evacuate them. Do it, Hayes ordered. Brooks, you're leading the rescue team. Take both shuttles. Get those people off that ship. Brooks nodded and headed for the shuttle bay. He took 8 crew members with him, 4 for each shuttle. They all wore the heavy environmental suits, even though the suits would do nothing against the black hole. If something went seriously wrong, nothing would save them. The shuttles launched from the Valor and started moving toward the research star. Hayes watched on the screens, his hands gripping the arms of his command chair. The shuttles were small compared to the massive forces at play here. They looked fragile and helpless, but they kept going. Shuttle 1, this is the Valor, Emma said into her microphone. We're tracking gravitational fluctuations. Watch your trajectory. Understood, Brooks replied. His voice was calm and steady. We see the research star, beginning approach now. The shuttles reached the Centauri ship and attached themselves to airlocks. Hayes could see movement on the screens as crew members entered the damaged vessel. Minutes felt like hours as they waited. Shuttle 1 has 4 Centauri on board, Brooks reported. They're scared but uninjured. Moving to second group now? Shuttle 2 here, another crew member reported. We have 3 Centauri secured. Looking for the last one now? There was a long pause. Too long. Hayes felt his stomach tighten. Shuttle 2 report, Emma said. The last Centauri is trapped in the engine room. There was a structural collapse. We need cutting equipment. Sanders was already moving. I'm going over there. No, Hayes said. We need you here to monitor the ship. Commander, with respect, I'm the best person to handle this. I can cut through that debris faster than anyone else. Sanders was already heading for the door. Hayes wanted to argue, but he knew Sanders was right. Go, but be fast. Sanders ran to the shuttle bay, grabbed equipment, and took a third shuttle over to the research star. Hayes watched the clock. They had been in the gravitational field for 45 minutes already. The Valor was handling it, but he could feel the strain on the ship. Small creaks and groans as the hull flexed under impossible forces. Sanders is on the research star, Emma reported. He's heading to the engine room now. More waiting. More watching the clock. Hayes found himself holding his breath. Got him! Sanders' voice came through, full of relief. The last Centauri is free. We're heading back to the shuttles now. All shuttles, return to the Valor immediately, Hayes ordered. We've been in this gravity well too long. The 3 shuttles detached from the dying Centauri ship and started back. On the screens, Hayes could see the research star beginning to break apart. It would not last much longer. The shuttles reached the Valor and docked. As soon as everyone was aboard, Hayes gave the order. Get us out of here. Full power. The Valor's engines roared to life. The ship pulled away from the black hole, fighting against gravity that wanted to drag it down. For a few terrifying seconds, Hayes was not sure they would make it. The ship shuddered and groaned, then suddenly they were free. The gravitational pull weakened and the Valor accelerated away to safety. Hayes let out a breath he did not know he was holding. Status report. Emma checked her systems. All crew members accounted for. All 8 Centauri are aboard and safe. The ship took some strain but nothing serious. Hayes activated the ship-wide intercom. This is the commander. Excellent work, everyone. We did what we came here to do. Dr. Grant, how are our guests? They're shaken but healthy, the doctor replied. Silicon-based life forms are tougher than I expected. They should be fine. Science leader Prax appeared on the view screen. The Centauri looked different now, glowing more brightly. Hayes guessed that meant they were happy or relieved. Commander Hayes, no one has ever succeeded in a rescue near a black hole before. 6 ships tried to save us. All of them failed. But you succeeded. How? Hayes smiled. We're from Earth. We're used to dealing with things that want to kill us. A black hole is just another challenge. Your people are remarkable, Prax said. The stories we heard about Deathworlders, we thought they were exaggerated. But now I understand. You do not fear danger the way most species do. You face it directly. We're still afraid, Hayes corrected. Fear is healthy. It keeps us careful. But we don't let fear stop us from doing what needs to be done. The Valor set course for the nearest station where they could transfer the Centauri to their own people. The journey took 3 days. During that time, the Centauri spent hours talking with the human crew. They were fascinated by Earth and by the concept of a planet, so dangerous that it created beings who could rescue people from black holes. When they reached the station, the Centauri were met by their government representatives. There was a big celebration. The humans were treated like heroes. But Hayes noticed something else happening too. Word of the rescue was spreading, fast, within hours, the entire galactic 3 years had passed since that first rescue of the Varan crew. Commander Greg Hayes now commanded a fleet of 6 Valor-class rescue vessels. The program had grown beyond anything he had imagined. Humanity had become known throughout the galaxy as the species you called when all hope was lost. Hayes stood in the command center on Earth, looking at a large display showing all 6 ships and their current missions. The original Valor, still under his direct command when needed, was currently docked at Station Meridian for maintenance. The other 5 ships were scattered across known space, each with their own experienced crews. Emma walked into the command center carrying a tablet. She was now Admiral Emma Blake, in charge of coordinating all rescue operations. "We have the monthly statistics ready. You're going to want to see this." Hayes took the tablet and looked at the numbers. In the past month alone, human rescue teams had saved 247 lives from 18 different species. They had operated in radiation storms on high-gravity moons, near black holes on toxic planets, and in collapsing nebulas, places where most species could not survive. "That's incredible," Hayes said quietly. "It gets better," Emma continued. "The Galactic Council just released a report. Deaths from accidents in hazardous regions have dropped by 60% since our rescue program began. Just knowing that humans are available for emergencies has made other species more willing to explore dangerous areas. We're not just saving lives directly. We're enabling progress across the entire galaxy." Hayes felt a surge of pride. This was exactly what they had hoped to accomplish. A junior officer approached them. "Sirs, we have an incoming transmission from the Varan Collective. It's Navigator Kellis." Hayes smiled. He had stayed in touch with Kellis over the years. The Varan had become a good friend. "Put it through to my office." A few minutes later, Hayes sat down in front of a screen. Kellis appeared, looking older but healthy. The Varan had been promoted several times since being rescued and now held an important position in their government. "Commander Hayes, it is good to see you again," Kellis said warmly. "And you, my friend. What can I do for you today?" Kellis' expression became serious. "I am calling with news that you should hear directly from me. The Varan Collective has completed our review of rescue protocols. We have made significant changes based on what we learned from our own abandonment and your people's response." Hayes leaned forward, interested. "What kind of changes?" "We will no longer classify rescue missions as too dangerous to attempt based purely on risk calculations," Kellis explained. "We are creating our own specialized rescue teams, trained to operate in conditions we would have previously avoided. We cannot match human capabilities in extreme environments, but we can do better than we did before." "That's wonderful news," Hayes said sincerely. "But there is more," Kellis continued. 15 other species have announced similar changes to their own protocols. The Galactic Council is establishing new standards for rescue operations, inspired by Earth's example. Humanity has changed the entire galaxy's approach to helping those in distress. Hayes felt emotion rising in his chest. This was bigger than just saving lives. Humanity had actually changed how other species thought about courage, duty, and helping others. "There is one more thing I must tell you," Kellis said. "The Varan Collective wishes to honor the crew of the Horizon, the ones who first answered our call. We are creating a memorial on our homeworld. It will show 5 humans standing together, representing those who came to save us when our own people would not." Hayes felt tears in his eyes. "Kellis, that is very kind, but we were just doing what felt right." "Exactly," Kellis replied. "You did what felt right to you. That is what makes it so special. What feels right to humans is apparently extraordinary to the rest of the galaxy. Never forget that, Commander. Never lose that part of your nature." After the call ended, Hayes sat in his office thinking about Kellis' words. He thought about the past 3 years, about all the rescues, all the lives saved, all the grateful beings who had been pulled from disaster by human crews, but he also thought about the costs. 7 crew members had died during rescue operations. Good people who had given their lives to save strangers. Hayes kept their pictures on his desk. He looked at them every day and remembered what they had sacrificed. The door opened and Sanders came in. The engineer was showing some gray in his hair now, but he was still as sharp as ever. Commander, the new ships are almost ready. 2 more Valor-class vessels will be launched next month. Earth has also approved construction of 4 more after that. 10 rescue ships, Hayes said. That's a lot. The requests for help keep coming, Sanders pointed out. We need the capacity to respond. Though I have to say, some of the requests we're getting now are not really emergencies. Some species seem to be calling us for problems they could solve themselves if they tried harder. Hayes had noticed this too. There was a danger in being too successful. Some species were starting to depend on human rescuers instead of developing their own capabilities. That was not healthy. We need to be careful, Hayes said. Our job is to help in true emergencies, not to make other species helpless. Dr. Grant arrived for a scheduled meeting. She looked tired but satisfied. Commander, I wanted to update you on the medical training program. We now have 50 doctors trained in treating multiple alien species. That's up from just 5 of us 3 years ago. We're getting very good at this. Brooks came in last as usual. The security officer was now in charge of training all security personnel for the rescue fleet. I have candidates for the new ship crews. All volunteers, all fully aware of the risks. We have more people wanting to join than we have positions available. They spent the next hour discussing operations, reviewing recent missions, and planning for the future. Hayes felt grateful for his team. They had built something remarkable together. Later that evening, Hayes returned to his apartment. It was small and simple. He spent most of his time either in space or at the command center, so he did not need much. On his walls were pictures and letters from beings his crews had saved. Dozens of species, hundreds of individuals, all alive because humans had answered their calls for help. His personal communicator chimed. It was a message from the Valor. They had just completed another successful rescue, pulling a research team from a collapsing ice moon. Everyone was safe. Hayes sent back a message of congratulations, then sat down to write his weekly report for the Earth Council. As he wrote, he reflected on how much had changed. Humanity had been alone in their corner of space, quietly exploring when they heard that first distress signal. One decision to help had led to all of this. An entire branch of Earth's space program dedicated to rescue operations. A reputation across the galaxy as the Deathworlders who came when no one else could, but more than that, humanity had inspired other species to be braver, to care more, to help each other better. The galaxy was becoming a safer place, because humans had shown that courage and compassion were not weaknesses. Hayes finished his report and looked at the time. It was late. He should sleep. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new emergencies. New chances to help. As he lay in bed, his communicator chimed one more time. An urgent message. Another distress call. A transport ship with 300 passengers was trapped in an asteroid field. The asteroids were moving in unpredictable patterns, smashing together constantly. The ship's engines were damaged and they could not escape. Other rescue attempts had failed. The conditions were too chaotic, too dangerous. They were asking for human help. Hayes read the message twice, considering the situation. The asteroid field would be incredibly hazardous. Ships could be crushed without warning. Crew members could be killed, but 300 people needed help. 300 beings who would die if no one came for them. Hayes picked up his communicator and sent a message to the Valor. Prepare for immediate departure. We have work to do. He got dressed, gathered his things, and headed for the spaceport. Within 2 hours, he was on the bridge of his ship. The crew was already at their stations, ready to go. They had all seen the distress call. They all knew the risks. No one had hesitated. No one had asked to stay behind. Course laid in. Commander, the navigator reported. All systems ready. Sanders called from engineering. Medical bay prepared for mass casualties if needed. Dr. Grant added. Hayes looked around his bridge at these brave humans who had chosen to risk their lives for strangers. He felt proud to serve with them. Take us out, he ordered. 300 people are waiting for us. The Valor pulled away from Earth and accelerated into the darkness. Its engines burned bright against the stars. Inside the ship, 30 humans prepared to do what they did best: to face danger that other species feared, to risk everything to save those who needed help, because that was what Deathworlders did. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not advanced technology or ancient wisdom, but simple courage. The willingness to help others even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. As the Valor jumped to faster than light speed, Hayes thought about the future. More ships would be built. More crews would be trained. The rescue program would continue to grow. But the core mission would remain the same: answer the call. Save lives. Help others somewhere in the asteroid field 300.